Okay, so this is either the seventh video lecture or it's an explanation to this particular activity in the class. Let me first talk about, so what I'm asking you, what the task before you is to take those three sociological theories: conflict theory, it's all about competition and resources; symbolic interactionism, it's about interpretation of symbols and symbols and meaning; and functional theory, everything serves a purpose, and apply them to social patterns. Social patterns in the data are what we would call, or another way of thinking about, what's called social facts. Social facts are simply patterns in the data. These are not statements of opinion. They're not, they're just when we count, right? And sociologists are really good at counting. When we count, this is what the data tells us. And so the three social facts that I'm asking you to consider for this activity, and then your challenge is to take one of those sociological theories and apply it to one of these social facts, right? The three facts are: children who are raised in poor households are less likely to graduate high school and go to college than our middle class and upper class households. That's just a fact, right? That basically poor kids don't go to college as much as privileged kids. And your challenge is to take one of these theories, right, and explain why. How do you explain this social fact, right? Another option is, and this is a really sad one in four college-age women, this is ages 18 to 24, will experience sexual assault or attempted sexual assault. That's just a fact. That's what the data tells us. How do we explain that? What does conflict theory, about competition? What does symbolic interaction, symbols and interpretation? What does functional theory, what purpose? Or what's broken? Maybe sometimes functional theory works better if you think about it as like what is broken in society, that if it was working right, this wouldn't happen. So if what so instead of what's the purpose of this, what in society might prevent this? So the same way, when we talk about function in society, may be it may be a situation of that's a dysfunction in society. So in that case, sexual assault may be the dysfunction, right? So what's not working right? The same thing with the previous one. The dysfunction may be that poor kids don't go to college. So what would we change in society to fix that dysfunction? And the third one, which is Black men ages 18 to 24 experience higher rates of unemployment, incarceration, and homicide compared to white men. Again, just a social fact, just what the data says. When we count homicide, unemployment, incarceration amongst Black men and white men, this is what the data tells us, right? What does that have to do with power? What does that have to do with meaning? Is there a does it mean something different in the criminal justice system to be a Black man as opposed to a white man? What function or dysfunction does this explain? And so the challenge again is just to take one and apply it. Here are, when I do this as an in-group, as an in-class activity, sometimes it helps to think about, to get to the theory question. This is what we often do as social scientific researchers, right? We don't just start with a theory, but we try to explain all the pieces. Kind of like, again, when you do a puzzle, right? You're sorting out all the blues, you're sorting out all the reds before you start putting blues and reds together, right? Why is this so? How do you explain this? How do you explain, why people get divorced? Well, they fall out of love. She's not financially dependent. It was easy, right? Why is this? And then sometimes, again, if we start with how would we change the situation, right? We might come back to another way, a theoretical explanation, another way to try to get at what theory best explains it is so again, using, oh gosh, the divorce one kind of gets redundant here, but using the divorce one, what's the power? How is divorce about power? Well, the person who files for divorce has more power. Well, who files for divorce more often? Well, women do. Okay, so there you go. How is a divorce about? Is something not working? When people get divorced, they often say, "We fell out of love. We're just not working anymore." What does that mean? What does that mean to say it's just not working? Well, usually it means one person is feeling like the marriage is not meeting their needs, right? It's not functioning properly. Is there some sort of misunderstanding happening here? Well, I think about my marriage, you know, um, my partner may feel like they are expressing love, but I don't feel loved. So there is this misunderstanding of what your partner thinks love looks like and what I think love looks like. So let's apply this to one of those other ones, power and social resources. What was the theory again? Kids going to college. Well, yeah, it's about resources. It's about money, right? Is something not working? How does that apply to sexual assault? Well, yeah, something's not working. Men are not taking no for an answer. Or maybe she sent, yeah. Is a situation about misunderstanding? Ooh, that's a tough one to apply to the black men and white men. Is there a misunderstanding here? We all, some would argue that anytime we find a person of color in a situation, we are suspicious of their behavior, right? The misunderstanding. Is it the meaning that the criminal justice system gives to somebody being of dark complexion? Do we interpret a person of dark complexion as more likely to be a criminal than a person of light complexion? Okay, so good luck with that activity. Reach out if you're struggling with it. The rest of these slides really are ones I've stuck in here over the years. Scientific method, research. I'm not going to necessarily get into that, so we'll stop right there. Okay, see you in the next chapter.